Hi, beautiful friends. Welcome. So I felt called to do a reading, a little year-end four-card reading for the tribe. My question really was, what kind of energies can we focus on ending this year and stepping into the new one to really be in our power, in our magic, in our abundance, in our joy, right? So I pulled a couple of cards from the Guardian Angel Messages Tarot deck. I am just loving this tarot deck lately. I've been doing a lot of readings for it. Some of you may have seen me posting. I pulled cards a week or so ago, a couple days a week. The energy, the messages, the support, the imagery, just really loving this deck right now. Super supportive. So I've got some cards and really quick before we dive into that, for those of you that don't know, my name is Jen and I am the head magic maker over at the Wayward Witch Co. And we really teach all things shadow work, empowerment, manifesting. We teach soul wealth, really deconstructing and redesigning our life so that it's something that we were in love with. We focus a lot about bringing in magic into our day-to-day lives, finding the magic in the mundane, and again, really building a life that is filled with magic that we are in love with. And I'm so passionate about doing that because that's really the journey that I took. Who I was, 6 years ago is definitely complete opposite from where I am now. And so in all my teachings, I really just share everything that I did to really redesign my own life. So super fun space to hang out in, super supportive. And I also have the Business Witchery membership for all of those soul-led entrepreneurs who are just looking for a support group, someone to bounce questions off of, share their content, get feedback. I've got some bonus courses and workshops. We do live coaching calls over there. So all sorts of fun stuff. We have so much magic going on all the time. So just a quick introduction for anybody who is new to this space. I'm really feeling called to give more support, more daily or regular guidance and inspiration. And one of the ways I'll be doing that is just coming live or, pre-record, however we do that, with some readings for the next couple weeks, and we'll see how that goes. So let's just dive right into our messages. And again, the question is, where can we really focus our energy as we close out this year and step into a new one? And listen, you guys, something I want to say, I don't really go too far into the new year, new me spiel energy. There's nothing wrong with it, but this is something I try to bring into everyday life, is really just doing that reflection all of the time. But it's always a good time to do that at the year end as well, right? Okay, so let's go here. I just have a couple of notes that I took as I pulled these cards. I just want to keep those handy because sometimes information comes in so fast that I just forget by the time I get on and record. Okay, here we are. All right, so card number one, Justice. And let me just show you this beautiful card. Justice card. Just look at that energy, the imagery, any numbers, words, colors that really stick out to you here. Okay. So this card really is here to let us know that honestly, we have nothing to worry about. We may busy ourselves with really worrying about all of the things. Raise your hand if you're one of those. Same. I work regularly to not let my worry and overthinking take control. And so this card is just letting us know where are we over worrying? Where are we investing far too much energy? Where are we borrowing trouble, running through worst case scenario on a constant loop? What are we ready to just release here? What if we really didn't have anything to worry about? One of my theologies, and something that I will remind myself all the time, even when things get super, super hard, is everything works out in my favor, no matter what. That is something that I'm constantly writing in my reality. And for those of you that have been in my space for some time, I'm sure you've heard me say it a dozen times. So Of course, I'm going to worry. I'm still human, right? But I just remind myself I don't need to worry. Everything works out in my favor, and it always does. So, what kind of worry can you really release going into this year? Where do you want to worry less and just say, so what? How much space you give yourself when you're willing to let some of that worry go. Anytime we're worrying, we're in shadow, guys. We're not in our fullest empowerment. When we are in that highest alignment, in our most empowered state, we know we don't need to worry. And even if the worry comes up, we know it's just that fear talking, that old pattern, and we know how to work through that. So start thinking about, where are you worrying too much and where could you worry a lot less, and just say so what for a little while and give yourself some space. I'm already tuning into the energy of that. Talk about a breath of fresh air. Talk about a giant weight off your shoulders. I'm feeling it in the stomach. I'm sure lots of people carry stress and worry and concern and anxiety in the stomach area. So just breathe into that a little bit. Even ask to be shown the energy of worrying less. Call in your angels, call in your guides, and ask to be shown the energy of what it would feel like to worry less. So if you do have events that have had you feeling anxious and uneasy, take a breath. Embrace the fact that you have so much personal power. And I know this because I found mine when I used to feel so powerless. Stand up for yourself, but really with yourself. That doesn't mean you need to get loud and fight people and have all these hard boundaries. And no, we can do this lovingly. So first, stand up for yourself with yourself. And that means stop beating yourself up, stop judging yourself, stop calling yourself all of the names. Stand up for yourself within you first. Make your boundaries within yourself, know that they are non-negotiable. And when those boundaries get crossed, show up in your highest alignment and make sure that doesn't happen again. Okay. If you're also trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong, let's face it, everyone in the world is trying to do that right now between politics and the other things going on. There's so much information, there's so much misinformation. We don't know what the heck is right and wrong anymore, right? Because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing, right? So this card really asks us to let love be your guide. You're trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong. Get into your heart space. This sometimes is not an easy thing when we have been outside the heart space for a while, but it really all starts with the intention to be more heart-centered. And when that is your intention, I promise you will get the pieces that you need to really learn how to step into that space. Look at it from the space of your highest love. Go into the heart. Choose what's right and wrong from there. Not here, not outside yourself, not what social media is saying. Here. Okay. Remember that in all situations. How can I show up for this in the most heart-centered space? That's where you'll find that highest alignment, that soul alignment we talk about. All right. And also, this card reminds us to stay in our integrity regardless of what's going on outside of ourselves, outside in the world today, somebody treating us bad, a loved one being disrespectful, whatever it is, you can always choose to stay in your integrity, and you can still have those boundaries from a place of integrity, from a place of loving yourself unconditionally. Show up that way, your energy starts to speak for itself. And then less people start showing up who are, trying to cross all over those boundaries. When you're energetically standing up for yourself, getting into heart space, making boundaries non-negotiable, those people who are also willing to support you in the way that you're willing to support yourself, those people start showing up into your life. So it really always starts with you. Just remind yourself, get into the heart. And am I showing up for whatever this situation is in my highest integrity? This is a beautiful, beautiful area of focus now and going into the new year. And even take that energy and reflect back on the last year or two. And were you really able to show up that way? And how can you do that going forward? Okay. Awesome, awesome card. All right. So next card is the 8 of Air. I love this card for so many different reasons. So the first message of this card is that you can always choose freedom. So what I love about this card is if you look, these swords are all in the snow here, right? Which means they're not stuck, which means the figure in this card could pick those swords up at any time and move them out of the way and carry on. So we talk about deciding all the time in the Soul Wealth Accelerator group. We're always talking about deciding, the power of deciding, the energy behind deciding. Going back to card number 1, deciding your boundaries are non-negotiable, deciding your highest alignments are non-negotiable. So just remember that a lot of people really are very likely feeling trapped right now. But in truth, in soul truth, we never really are. Just like in the card, she's not really trapped, but it appears at first sight as if she is. There's always another perspective to choose. And one of them being, no matter what it looks like right now, I know everything works out in my favor. That's a perspective. That's a choice to believe that. That's a choice to have that be a part of your theology, right? So there's always another perspective. So really reach within yourself and tap into your own inner strength and knowing. In the heart, you'll find it in the heart, right? Not in the mind, not in the logic. Refuse to be stuck. Just as your boundaries are non-negotiable, feeling stuck in life, believing you're stuck can be a non-negotiable. Refuse. We all have stubborn sides to us. So I like to talk about taking our stubbornness and alchemizing that into power, being so stubborn about your soul alignment, about your highest joys, about calling in all that abundance, right? So you can be stubborn, but be that about your soul alignment. Be stubborn AF about that. Don't forget the power of your own free will and the power of your perspective and the power of deciding. You're never trapped except by your own thoughts. So again, that borrowing trouble that we often do, believing we're stuck, believing we're deserving of bad things happening, stepping into fear, that's our choice to do that. And I was talking with my magic squad about this the other day, about just how much turmoil we brew up in our minds, especially leading up to events, right? We get so anxious about this event that's going to happen, or this confrontation we have to have, or discussion, or ending of something. We get so much anxiety about that. But then when we get to the event, we're like, that was it. Right? We create so much turmoil in our mind. So when we're feeling trapped, we want to just have a little bit of a pause to really remind ourselves that we're never truly trapped. We're trapping ourselves in our own thoughts and your beliefs. This is here's another famous Jen saying, favorite Jen saying. I wouldn't go famous, but aside from the fact that we do get the evidence we seek, the power in our deciding, right? There's always another way. So if you decide, then there is. Get the evidence you seek, and the world is images and beliefs of the mind manifested. So the experience you have in the world is a combination of what you believe and what you think about and where your dominant thoughts go all the time, where you're putting your energy. That's going to manifest outside of yourself. So a perspective shift will change your world. Again, I know this because I've had many of them and they've changed my world. Okay, so another awesome card going into this new year, ending out the current. All right, next card is the Knight of Water. So this card brings energy of love as well. So I love that love is coming up right now. Self-love, inner love, going to heart space, operating out of the heart space. All right. The process of falling in love. And to me, this feels like, I mean, of course it can represent a person, but what I gather from this for this specific reading is really falling in love with life. Who needs to do more of that? But the other side of that is to also remember to bring balance into all things. So again, look at the Justice card, the card number 1. She's got those scales of balance, right? So balance is going to be a theme going forward. Where do we need more balance? Could all use some of that, right? So think about an example would be when you first start dating someone and there's that, newness and that love right away. We're moving so fast, and maybe we lose ourselves in that. A lot of people can tend to lose themselves in that if they're not bringing balance. But the same goes for loving a situation so much. Christmas codes, loving Christmas magic so much, we're just driving ourselves crazy trying to recreate that same magic every year, never allowing for the new magic to come in. So when we are overindulging in something, whether it be positive or negative, love or hate, whatever it may be, if we're overindulging, if we're trying to force recreate over and over, we're in shadow there. We're not in flow state. We're not in alignment. We may think that these feelings are so lacking, these moments are so fleeting that we've just got to recreate them over and over again. So this card also reminds you to fall in love with life, but remember there's a balance. I was bringing in some pieces of some new codes we'll be talking about going into the new year, about alchemy, alchemizing those emotions and feelings that we essentially shame, and they're all shadow and this and that. There's going to be more alchemizing of that and turning that into empowerment, abundance, highest joys. And so knowing that sometimes we're going to be happy and sometimes we're going to be sad and sometimes we're going to be mad and sometimes we might be depressed or anxious, but if every moment is working out in my favor, where's the gold in this situation? Really, I hate to use the word flow. I feel like that's a, overused word, being in flow, but really that's what it's all about, is just kind of flowing with those moments. We're not fighting against any current. We're really allowing and diving into the depths of every moment of life. So bring balance. Don't try to overindulge on love because you've got sadness over here. What we resist grows and grows. And so if we're trying to resist these other feelings and not really learning how to work with them, understand them, what they're trying to teach us or tell us, it's just going to try to keep talking to us. So really more allowing of the emotions to have a flow, because they're going to. Nature has a flow, natural cycles have a flow, right? So just remember, balance in all you do. You don't have to try to recreate something over and over again because you feel it's limited. Allow yourself to flow, and more of it will fall in divine and aligned ways. I promise you that. Okay. All right. Our last card, the Hermit. This is another really beautiful card. Love the imagery. Love the light shining in. And I love that it's one of my favorite sayings. The first sentence in the book description is "Seek and ye shall find." And again, something you will hear me continue to say all of my days is we get the evidence we seek. If we are seeking evidence of alignment, evidence of abundance, evidence of being in our highest joy, evidence of love, that's what we're going to find. But if we're investigating and seeking where everything goes wrong, where the world is so scary and bad, where we're struggling so much, then that's going to be the evidence you find. So seek and ye shall find. What do you want? What do you want? What do you desire? And are you asking for it? If you're seeking peace and alignment and enlightenment, do your seeking within. Go to that heart space again. Start there. Don't seek outside of yourself. So this card really is telling us to go into some meditation space. This doesn't have to mean a big old long, boring meditation. If that is not your thing, I will fall asleep for any meditation that's over 5 minutes. But you can be in a meditative space. You can be intentional with your thoughts when you're doing dishes, when you're sweeping, when you're doing yard work, when you're driving. You can really be intentional and go within with your thoughts, or time in nature. is always going to provide great insight and a nice reset while you're out there, right? So this is really asking us as we close out this year, and it's the natural time of year to be doing this, to really go within, turn within, really start looking at some of the other areas that were talked about here in this reading, where we're borrowing too much trouble, where we're telling ourselves we're stuck, where we could really use a perspective change. Are we being intentional about our thoughts, emotions, beliefs? Are we overindulging in one thing over another? Are we resisting? Really go within and spend some time doing some review, doing some releasing, getting some clarity, but do it within yourself. Don't look for that outside. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. You know, deep down, deep within, you know, and your soul knows, and you have all of the answers. Sometimes we just aren't spending that time with ourselves. So there's some things to focus on in the rest of the days. We just have a couple of days left of this year, but really stepping into the new year as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if balance is really a theme for the next year. I certainly know that alchemy is going to be a theme for all of us here in the group, and those that are called to, this type of work. And perspective, change your perspective, you will change your world. It's as simple as that. Of course, we have shadow behind that we have to work through, so it's not always that simple, but that's all you have to do. You don't have to go out and make life happen, you guys. You've got to change your perspective or set the intention you desire to change your perspective. Then you do your inner work, anything that's getting in the way of that perspective, and the world starts to change around you. I promise you guys that. And I have so much support in doing that work. Shadow work is starting at the end of January. We do a lot of stuff is tied to our abundance blocks and abundance beliefs. And so we do a lot of internal work and a lot of perspective work and mindset work in Abundance Reset and Mastery, which is still open for registration. If you want to start out small, I have a ton of self-paced courses, foundational courses, tearing down the foundation, building up a new one in an aligned way inside the Wayward Magic Academy. If you just have questions, you can always post them in the group. You can reach out to me personally. I love answering questions. So many, and you have so many soul sisters here in the group as well. I'm sure that would love to share experiences and get some of those conversations going. So although we're going to go within, we can still work with our aligned community as well for inspo and perspective, help us shift perspective sometimes. So reach out if you guys need any support or you have any questions. I really enjoyed doing this reading, so I definitely plan on doing many more in the days and weeks to come. So let me know what you guys thought about the reading, anything that resonated with you, any questions at all that you have, and we will talk soon. All right, love you all so much. Happy New Year. Cannot wait to continue the up level work. All right, talk soon. Bye.